The world shattered for me in a horrifying instant. It was as if time itself had stopped, leaving only the deafening silence of despair in its wake. A deafening explosion ripped through the air, shaking the very foundation of our home in Kherson. The walls trembled and the ground beneath us seemed to heave with the force of the blast. It was a sound we had grown tragically accustomed to, a grim reminder of the relentless conflict that had engulfed our once peaceful city. The terrifying symphony of war had become the soundtrack of our lives, each explosion a note in a never-ending requiem of destruction. But this time it was different. This time the blast carried with it a sense of finality, a chilling realization that death had come knocking at our own door. This time the blast carried with it the chilling realization that death had come knocking at our own door. The air was thick with smoke and the acrid smell of burning debris.
Rushing out into the street, her heart pounding in her chest, Olena's mind raced with fear and dread. She had to find her family, to make sure they were safe. Olena's worst fears were confirmed. The sight that met her eyes was one of utter devastation. Amidst the smoke and debris lay her husband, Serhi, his body motionless and lifeless. His lifeless eyes staring blankly at the unforgiving sky, a stark contrast to the vibrant man he once was. He had been a carpenter, a man who worked with his hands to build, to create, to nurture. His hands, once so skilled and full of life, now lay still and cold. Now he was gone. Another victim claimed by the silent, invisible menace that haunted the skies above Kherson, Russian drones. The drones, with their eerie mechanical hum, had become the harbingers of death.
My death was not just a personal tragedy, it was a stark reminder of the daily terror faced by the people of Kherson. Each loss, each life snuffed out was a testament to the brutality of this conflict. It was a stark reminder of the daily terror faced by the people of Kherson, a city caught in the crosshairs of a new and terrifying kind of warfare. The constant threat of drone attacks loomed over us like a dark cloud, a city caught in the crosshairs of a new and terrifying kind of warfare. The drones, with their silent, deadly precision, had changed the very nature of the conflict.
As the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows over the city, the once vibrant streets now lay in ruins, a testament to the relentless onslaught. Olena was left to grapple with the unbearable pain of her loss, her cries echoing through the empty streets. The weight of her grief was almost too much to bear. Her cries echoing through the empty streets, a haunting reminder of the lives shattered by this brutal conflict. The silence that followed was deafening, a stark contrast to the chaos that had preceded it, a testament to the devastating human cost of this brutal conflict. The city, once full of life and laughter, now lay in ruins, a shadow of its former self. Olena's story is just one of many. Each day, the people of Kherson live under the constant threat of drone attacks, their lives held hostage by the fear that at any moment, death could rain down from above. Each day, the people of Kherson live under the constant threat of drone attacks, their lives held hostage by the fear that at any moment death could rain down from above. The drones, with their silent, deadly precision, had become a symbol of the relentless violence that plagued our city. Their lives held hostage by the fear that at any moment death could rain down from above. The constant vigilance, the never-ending anxiety had become a way of life for the people of Kherson. The shadow of death from above was a constant presence, a grim reminder of the fragility of life in a war zone. Kherson, a city known for its shipbuilding heritage and its strategic location on the Dnipro River, has long been a symbol of resilience and industrious spirit. Its shipyards, once bustling with activity, and the scenic views along the Dnipro River, have always been a source of pride for its residents. However, this once peaceful city has now become a primary target for Russian drone attacks, transforming its serene landscape into a war zone. Since the start of July, the city has witnessed a dramatic escalation in these aerial assaults. With drones relentlessly bombarding the area day and night, this constant threat has turned daily life into a desperate struggle for survival, forcing residents to seek refuge in shelters and live in a state of perpetual fear. The once vibrant streets filled with the laughter of children and the bustle of everyday life now lie empty and desolate. Playgrounds that once echoed with joy are now silent, abandoned amidst the destruction. The air is frequently pierced by the wail of air raid sirens, a chilling reminder of the ever-present danger. The terrifying drone of approaching death has become a part of the city's soundscape, a constant reminder of the war that rages above. These are not isolated incidents. The frequency and intensity of the attacks have increased, making it clear that Kherson is under a sustained and deliberate assault. Ukrainian authorities report a significant increase in drone activity over Kherson in recent months. Officials are working tirelessly to document and respond to these attacks, but the sheer volume of incidents is overwhelming. The statistics paint a grim picture of the relentless assault on the city and its people. Graphs and charts show a sharp increase in drone attacks, each data point representing a moment of terror for the residents of Kherson. Since July 1st, over 200 drone attacks have been recorded, each one a potential death sentence for those caught in its wake. The logbooks are filled with entries detailing the devastation wrought by these unmanned aerial vehicles. Each attack leaves behind a trail of destruction and suffering. Civilians are often the victims, with many injured or killed in the strikes. The scenes of destruction are heart-wrenching, with homes and lives shattered in an instant. These attacks have resulted in over 50 civilian casualties, with many more bearing the physical and psychological scars of living under constant threat. Memorials for the fallen stand as somber reminders of the human cost of this conflict. Survivors recount harrowing tales of narrow escapes and lost loved ones. The psychological trauma is immense, with many residents requiring counseling to cope with the constant stress and fear. The drones, often launched from Russian-occupied territories across the Dnipro River, strike with terrifying precision. These unmanned aerial vehicles are designed to inflict maximum damage, targeting civilian infrastructure, residential areas, and even humanitarian aid convoys. The impact on civilian infrastructure is devastating. Schools, hospitals, and homes have been reduced to rubble. Residential areas, once safe havens, are now dangerous zones where the next attack could come at any moment. The relentless barrage of these aerial assaults has plunged Kherson into a humanitarian crisis. Aid convoys, essential for providing relief to the beleaguered population, are often targeted, exacerbating the suffering of the city's residents. The citizens of Kherson are grappling with fear, uncertainty, and the ever-present threat of sudden, violent death. Their resilience is tested daily as they navigate life under siege, hoping for a day when peace will return to their beloved city. The terror of a drone attack lies in its insidious nature. These unmanned aerial vehicles, often referred to as UAVs, have revolutionized modern warfare, bringing a new level of stealth and precision to the battlefield. Unlike traditional airstrikes, which announce their arrival with the deafening roar of fighter jets, the sound of engines roaring, and the sight of planes streaking across the sky, drones operate with an eerie silence. Their electric motors and small propellers make them almost ghost-like, slipping through the air unnoticed. Their presence often undetected until it's too late. They can hover above civilian areas, blending seamlessly into the sky, their small size making them difficult to spot. This silent approach, coupled with their ability to strike with pinpoint accuracy, allows them to target specific locations with devastating effect. It makes them a particularly terrifying weapon, instilling fear and uncertainty in those living under their shadow, turning everyday moments into a terrifying game of Russian roulette, where the threat of an unseen enemy looms constantly. Imagine this. You're walking down a familiar street, a place you've walked countless times before. The sun warm on your face, casting a comforting glow over the city. The sounds of the city, a comforting hum in the background, the chatter of people, the distant honking of cars, the everyday symphony of urban life. Suddenly, the air is filled with a high-pitched whine, a sound that is out of place, unfamiliar and unsettling. A sound that sends chills down your spine, making the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. You look up, searching the sky, but there's nothing there, no sign of anything unusual, at least not at first. The sky seems clear, just a few clouds drifting lazily. Then you see it, a small dark shape hovering high above, almost blending into the clouds, barely noticeable. Almost indistinguishable from the clouds, it hovers there, a silent sentinel. Before you can react, before you can even process the danger, the drone descends rapidly, closing the distance in seconds. The drone releases its payload, a missile that streaks towards the ground with deadly precision. The explosion is deafening, a blinding flash of light and heat that sends shockwaves rippling through the air, shattering windows and shaking buildings. Debris rains down from the sky, fragments of buildings and shattered glass, transforming the once familiar street into a scene of chaos and destruction, a war zone in the blink of an eye. The air is thick with smoke and dust, a choking haze that makes it hard to breathe, the acrid smell of explosives stinging your nostrils, burning your throat. This is the reality of a drone attack, a sudden, terrifying event that leaves devastation in its wake. A terrifying experience that leaves victims with little time to react, their lives hanging in the balance in the blink of an eye. The aftermath is a scene of shock and despair, with emergency responders rushing to aid the victims, trying to bring some semblance of order to the chaos. And as the drone flies away, its mission complete, the city is left to pick up the pieces, to mourn the loss, and to live in fear of the next silent strike. The human cost of this drone warfare is truly staggering. Beyond the immediate casualties, the attacks have left an indelible mark on Kherson, transforming the city into a shadow of its former self. Hospitals, once beacons of hope and healing, are now overwhelmed with the wounded, their resources stretched thin by the relentless influx of casualties. Schools once filled with the laughter and energy of youth stand empty, their classrooms silent, their playgrounds deserted. The fear of drone attacks has forced many parents to keep their children at home, depriving them of their education and their childhood. The United Nations estimates that over 80% of Kherson's population has fled since the start of the conflict. Those who remain are trapped in a city under siege, their lives upended, their futures uncertain. They live each day with the grim knowledge that they could be the next victim, their homes, their families, their very existence hanging by a thread. The numbers tell a story of devastation and loss, a stark reminder of the human cost of this brutal conflict. But behind each statistic lies a personal tragedy, a shattered life, a family torn apart. These are not just numbers, these are mothers, fathers, sons and daughters, their lives cut short, their dreams shattered.